And get ready for UNC, who has looked extremely well the first two games, especially offensively, averaging over 50 points a game. Coach Collins and his staff have done a nice job of going hurry-up offense, balancing the run with the pass. They will stress out us defensively a lot, so we've got to be able to communicate. Defensively, they got a new coordinator, a lot of the same things they did last year, but I'm looking for them to probably load the box and, ask us to throw the ball. So we'll have to be able to do, what we do at a higher level. But big game, rivalry game, team 30 minutes down the road, and we got to get ready to play.
Who is your quarterback going into?
Don't know yet. We will have competition this week, and we'll decide. And haven't had a chance to talk to them yet, but we'll compete at practice and make a decision later in the week. Could be tomorrow. Could be later in the week, Wednesday or Thursday, or it could be game time.
Is it still a three-man race with all three?
It still is, yes.
So do you have a pecking order for the three of them?
I have a pecking order for the three of them. I have not had a chance to meet with the quarterbacks yet. Because Sunday's the day off, and we don't have a meeting until 2:15 today. So I'm not going to say anything right now before I talk to the kids.
Is it hard to prepare an offense if you've got three guys potentially getting equal amount of reps with the first team offense as you figure out your start?
Yeah, it is. So that's why we'll have a pecking order. Have a good idea of what we'll do. But again, I haven't talked to the guys. Now we still got to go out and perform. All three guys have played. We're completing less than 50% of our pass. We might even be completing 40%. So we got to figure out what we can do and how we can do it. And we got to get a little bit better this week. We're not going to come out and be the most efficient team in the country throwing the ball in week 3, but we just got to get a little bit better.
How much you could talk spring and even beginning of fall camp that if you went with Collins as your starter, you'd have to really dial back some of your offense as a true freshman. Is that still the case, or is he picked up enough that you can run your full complement of offense with him at quarterback?
The bottom line is we can't run our full complement of offense with anybody right now. So I'm not really. I might have said that earlier. It's usually a true statement with a freshman, but we're not able to do anything offensively. That's what we want to do right now. But there is some truth in the statement that he might understand in the meeting room, but there's a lot to be said for reps and taking live reps. So if he were the guy, then he would have to get a lot of reps this week for us to feel comfortable calling certain things in a ball game, if that makes sense.
How grateful are you for your running backs right now? You're able to actually move the ball.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I am, but Dawkins is a little banged up. He had to come out in the game the other day. Izzy Matthews is banged up. He's not 100% yet, but to have Marvin Kinsey come in there and spell Dietrich Clark. I mean, if you look at the game the other day, Dietrich Clark has 30, 40 yards rushing. Fatone has 30, 40 yards rushing. Hawkins has 8 yards rushing. It's not just the running backs. We're finding other ways to move the ball and run the ball. Now we just got to find some ways to complete a pass. And then consistently improve in our running game. But it's, I've said at the beginning, you're going to need all these running backs, especially when you run the ball. Guys have a tendency to get banged up, and we got to see who's healthy this week, and we'll roll them out there, and they'll get a chance to carry the ball.
Are you maybe doing more of the end around and utilizing these other guys more because of the ineffectiveness of the passing game right now?
I'd say that's a fair assessment there. No, we have not. We haven't thrown the ball the way that we expect to throw the ball here, especially when you're been run-oriented or not run-oriented. You're trying to be balanced, and you're under center, and you've got a run game. Then you've got to complete a high percentage of passes, and we haven't done that. So we've got to improve on that.
Do they seem like they're pressing when they get into game action more so than anything, or are they just not reading things right?
No. I mean, I think if you watched the game the other day, I think we were reading things right. Guys were open. We just didn't hit our targets. In the first game, the CU game, a couple times we didn't read the coverage correctly and go to the right guy. The other day, I thought that we were going to the right guy. We were just not completing the pass or throwing an accurate ball. So we're in there grinding away, trying to figure out what we can do, and we got to go out there and practice. And 50% in practice was probably a little bit of a stretch, but we're still in practice. As the week gets closer to game time, you want to become more and more efficient and effective. And really, by the end of the week, you want to have no balls on the ground. That's kind of what I'm used to. Tuesday's a little bit better than Monday. Wednesday's a little bit better than Tuesday. Thursday's almost always perfect. There's no balls on the ground. We're having too many balls on the ground right now because of accuracy issues, and we got to fix that.
How do you fix that without pressing issues?
It's a good question.
If you talk too much.
No, it's a good question. I think we got to do a good job of coaches of instilling confidence in our guys that we're still going to throw the football because we have to throw the ball. What we're doing offensively right now, we've got to make them believe in what we're doing. We can't every time there's an incompletion act like it's the end of the world, because we're going to throw an incompletion. We're going to throw a bad pass. Could be right now there's so much pressing that we're aiming instead of, all right, see our target, throw the ball, read the coverage, throw the ball, and that's what we got to get back to.
Coach, this game may not have as much emphasis as an in-state rival, but what have you told about your team, or what have you thought about this being just such a close of each other in a game this weekend?
Well, number one, you respect everybody you play, and you turn on the tape, and you're going to watch these guys offensively. They're very, very dangerous. They're putting up points. They're playing fast. They got two of the best returners that we'll face all year. And, defensively, they're going to give us some different things that we haven't seen that we got to adjust to. And we've got to, we got to get ready to play. And what I've told our team after the game is we control ourselves, and that's who we control first. And then we'll prepare for these guys. But we got to keep improving as a unit, offensively, defensively, and special teams. And, these guys are going to come ready to play. I think it's their, best start, and I don't know how, I think maybe 2002, is that correct? They're 2-0, and winning breeds confidence. That's a confident group right now that's going to come in. They're going to expect to play well, expect to win. We got to prepare with the right mindset, and our main goal is to improve every day and then find a way to get to 2-1. That's it.
Do you worry more about teams like this that just because this is a rare opportunity for them to play an FBS school, a lot of these guys probably feel like they should have been recruited by Colorado State. There's a little chip on the shoulder. They want to prove they can play at this level. Does that make me more?
Well, I'm sure that that's being said, and I'm sure that these guys are they don't respect you, but I promise you, us as coaches and our players will respect our opponent, and we'll be ready to play. We got a long way to go, as I said after the game last week, and for us to even act like that we can show up, we'll be sadly mistaken, and we'll be embarrassed. So we're going to go to work. It's a talented football team that we're about to play that's got some skill guys that can move it around and throw the ball, and they got some athletic guys defensively. If we don't improve offensively ability to throw the football, it's going to be another long day, and we can't put that much pressure on our defense.
I know a lot of people think because Colin played, you have to play him the rest of the way through because he's a true freshman. How much of that is true? How much of that is not?
Well, you would like, since I played him, you would like to, but we're going to have to do what's best for the football team. If he's the best thing for the football team, then he'll play and play a lot. But we got to see how he responds and how he practices this week. I expect him to practice well. I expect him to go out and perform, what gives us some confidence to play him. But at the end of the day, we're going to do what's best for our football team. At the end of the day, it's improving at such a level where you feel like you can compete for championships. That's what it's about, and finding that guy that can get us to that point.
Can you see the point moving forward where you have something that each of them does well? You have a back tour, would that be too big of
I don't know if you could have that for three guys. I've seen it done. I saw it the other night watching somebody play. They were rolling them in every play. I've seen Spurrier to do it when I was a player, but you want some consistency at that position, but at the same time you've got to have consistent play. So that's what we're looking for, consistent play. End of the day, we can't turn the ball over. End of the day, we got to hit our targets. So who's the best guy that's going to do that? We got to find that out.
How do you evaluate Nick as a quarterback so far this season to what he was last year?
Well, I think he has improved the knowledge of what we're doing offensively. I think he understands that a lot better at a higher level. We've got to complete a higher percentage of passes. We cannot turn the ball over. And that's what we did in big games last year, and that's what we did in game one this year. That's where that was, the evaluation of him. And then in practice, we got to be able to throw the ball better. Now, Nick had a pretty good week last week. Colin was just a little bit better throwing the football.
Obviously, defense performed a little better. There were a couple new guys on the lineup. How much of the change in personnel, how much of it was mentality, scheme?
No, it was changing personnel. It's like I told our guys after the game. I said, we're going to compete this week. We had 96 plays against CU, and Mike Linebacker had 2 tackles. So Patrick Elzenblast started the game, and that increased competition. Josh Watson had the best game that he's had. Really had the best game he's had since I've been here, and played better than any time we've ever practiced. He played like we thought he could play. The competition at corner, Kevin Nutt and Jordan Vaden, and Kevin Nutt went in for Tyree during the game. I think all that's healthy, that you got to compete and you got to earn, your right to put on that uniform every day and earn the right to fight with your teammates. And we'll have it this week too. It's what I told them after the game. I said, we better fight, we better compete. If we don't do that, you will not play on Saturday. Nobody, not one position on that football team, in my mind, has arrived. Like, this guy's the man, he's the starter. I hadn't seen it. We got to get there. Right now, we're going to have competition and figure out who wants to play and who wants to compete for Colorado State. He played pretty good. He had a handful of tackles. He got us in pass coverage early on the third down. They ran a little pick play, which was a nice design by UTSA. They got Josh on it later in the game. Same concept on the third down, the back out, coming out of the flat in the third quarter. But Blasters, he understands what we're trying to do. He doesn't hesitate. He goes and fills his gap. He plays the right leverage. Did a nice job. And then, we got Josh in there, spelled him some. They played probably the same amount of plays. And then we got Deshaun Mays back at will linebacker, and he was able to spell Kevin Davis some, where Kevin didn't have to play 90-something plays. I think it kept our guys fresher. We were able to play faster in the fourth quarter, which helped us win the ball game.
How did you like the configuration of the offensive line with Zach at left tackle, Petrie at right?
Yeah, I thought we did some nice things up front. I thought the guys, Colby Meeks played pretty good for his first start, and he's been practicing really well. He's a tough kid, and he fights, which gives him a chance. Zach thought he played better than he did week one. Trey is just a massive human being that did some good things for us up front. He's still got to work on playing with a better base and under control, but when he hits people, he moves people. Bennett did a nice job. Fred probably played better in game one, but still fought for us the whole game. And like I said after the game, I thought our guys got a little bit winded when we did so much tempo in the first half. 45, 46 plays in the first half, and we kind of got winded. So, we got to continue to push the envelope in practice. There's a fine line between pushing the envelope and making sure we're ready to play on Saturday. But we got to do a nice job of because we play better when we play faster. We're not good enough to come out of the huddle, line up, and say, "Hey, we're better than you." We gotta play faster. Get people not lined up as fast. Get people not hitting their gaps as hard. It gives us a little bit better of advantage.
Are you impressed with the way you see this offense is executing? Maybe a little jealous because their starting quarterback goes down 3 plays in the game. Their backup comes in for 6 touchdowns.
Well, I think yeah. I would say, I mean, I'm impressed watching them. I see skill guys in the perimeter making plays. I see quarterbacks that are cutting it loose and letting their guys make plays, which is you see a confident team. And they're, like I said in the beginning, they're winning ball games. So winning, breeds confidence. It's good for team morale. They're having production. So they're a confident group right now. Right now, we have no confidence offensively. We got to find a way to get that this week. There was a little bit of spark when Colin came into the game. We complete an out route, and we act like John Elway just threw the ball. It's an out route. We got to be able to make the routine plays, which we haven't been able to do.
What is your running back? I think he's one of their second leading receiver, and he's averaging about 95 yards a game. So just
he is. He's a quick slasher. He's kind of a cutback runner. He's got ball skills out of the backfield. And he doesn't hesitate. He hits the hole, a little bit like Dawkins in how he plays. This guy's had more production right now. They've ran more plays and had more opportunities, but he's impressive when he has the ball in his hand. They got a bunch of little guys like that, 27, 11, 13, that, scare you in space. I believe it's 11 and 13, 5. One of them's 5'6", one of them's 5'7", but they're electric with the ball in their hands.
Yeah, you talked some about when you were at Georgia, you got to know a lot of the guys in the area against the other SEC teams because you were recruiting them. How much do you lean on Marty English for some of that knowledge? Brian Applewhite, guys that have recruited this state and probably have at least some familiarity with some of
Yeah, when we go over the depth chart, both sides of the ball, we talk about these guys and where are they from. What was this guy like, in high school? It's always good to find out any information you can about your opponent, and personnel information, matters. What type of guy was this guy in high school? So Coach Applewhite, not as much as Coach English, because Coach Applewhite, the last 4 years before he got here, was in Louisiana, but I think number 11 is from Louisiana. I'm drawing a blank on his name. The court, I did not. He went to Johns Creek. But I did not recruit him at Georgia, but I know about him when he was at Johns Creek. But one of their receivers is from Louisiana, so Applewhite was able to tell us about him. And some of these Colorado kids, Coach English has told us about them.
You had two more freshmen with RJ and Robert getting some playing time on Saturday. Is that due to them kind of finally understanding the scheme and what you guys are doing, and then were you impressed with how they did when you went back?
Well, RJ, I think, only played one play. I might be mistaken, but I believe it was only one play. But he's a guy that we believe has some pass rushing ability. We've got to get him in on our third down packages and allow him to rush the passer. So you'll see an increased role with him, now that he's played. You got to find out what you got to do, and hopefully he can answer the bell and be able to handle an increased load. Did you say Robert or Anthony? Awagandi did a nice job on special teams. Guy can run. He ran down on the kickoff and was the first guy down there of his own punt return. So his role right now is probably going to be special teams. But he's athletic. He's not afraid, and hopefully he can give us some speed on the special teams that can be a difference. We got to find something to be a difference in a ball game. So we got to get athletic guys on those special teams. RJ is going to get a look at kickoff coverage. Robert is on 3 right now. We might try to get him on 4. Anthony Hawkins played a bigger role in last week's game, playing some receiver and then on all 4 special teams. Probably didn't play with the effort we wanted on special teams, but he's a young guy. We're going to point that out today because those guys, in my opinion, they've got explosive speed. They've got some power. Those are the kind of guys that we got to get on the field, and they can make a difference with their speed and have an explosive play, even though it's on special teams.
Outside of those personnel changes on the defense, now that you've had time to go back and look at the tape, what kinds of things did you see out of them as far as that week 1 to week 2?
Well, I thought we played harder. I thought we were tied together, and obviously we were more aggressive defensively with the play calling. And the more aggressive we got, I thought the faster we played defensively. And you make some plays, it gives you confidence. We were able to have some stops and gave us some confidence, and they were really feeding off of the pressures that we were calling and making plays. And that's what you've got to do. And they didn't drop their head when they had a big play. They didn't drop their head when they had that long drive right before the half to score. They just came in at halftime, said this is what we're going to do, and came out and executed. And that's the mentality that we got to have as we continue to fight, continue to play hard for each other. And I thought they did that. As far as the personnel changes, just kind of go back to what I said a minute ago. It's about competition. I mean, if you're not going to play hard, if you're not going to make plays and have production, then you're not going to be on the field. And that's for everybody. That's for Mike linebacker, that's for the quarterback, that's for the receivers. If you're numbered, you got to produce. It doesn't matter what you did last year, what you did yesterday. It's a production business, and you got to produce, and you got to have the confidence to go out there and make plays. It's not what I did last year. It's not what I did last week. It's not that I think I'm supposed to be a starter because I was penciled a starter coming in. It's about producing for your teammates, and that's what I'm looking for.
The changes that you've been making already these first couple weeks drive that point home more to your team and will get a little bit more to their attention.
Well, I hope.
Last year, there wasn't as much of
No, what? I hope so. That shuffling started after San Diego State game, and I mean it's like we can't take for granted the opportunity we have, and it's not a right to go out there and say I play for CSU and get to walk on the field. No, you got to earn that right. You got to earn the trust of everybody in the room, and coaches have to earn your trust, and vice versa. We're all working hard and grinding, but if we're not going to go out there, we're not going to fight for each other. We're not going to play hard, and if we're not producing, then you don't get to play. It's not the YMCA where everybody gets to play, or Little League where everybody gets a trophy. Right? It's you got to earn the right to go out there and play.
You mentioned a change with Wyatt in terms of how he's striking the ball, getting a little more air under it. But have you noticed a change in his confidence as well? I mean,
Well, it helps when they jump off sides twice and he gets 3 tries. The good thing was he made that kick at the end of the game, and there wasn't you look in his eyes and he was ready to go make the kick, and that's the first kick, the guy he missed. The second kick on all sides, he didn't kick very good at all. The third kick, he struck nice, and then he struck the last one. I mean, how far was that? 46 yards into a wind. Pretty long kick, basically to, give us some cushion and, in his mind, probably to seal the game. We obviously all know that the game wasn't over, but that gives you a 9-point lead there with, 2 minutes or 3 minutes to go in the ball game. And that was a big kick for a guy that had basically shake 2 right before the half and getting a third chance. So I see a confident guy. I think he's been kicking it well. But, there's competition with him and Braxton this week. When we line up field goal or extra point, it's got to be automatic. And, he was automatic because of the 2 offsides. So, sometimes you make your own luck, and he got lucky, and I expect him to make all his kicks this week.
where are you at with Hayden? Does he still have the ability to impress you, or do the things you see is just
No, you kind of expect it out of him. He consistently kicks the ball extremely well with extremely good hang time. And that kick at the last punt, I believe it was the last punt, wasn't it? That just 57, 59 yards that pinned him and really gave him, not just it was a 59-yarder, just gave the guy no chance of return. Where he put the ball at a time when we really needed that punt was huge. So, he's a weapon. If you've watched us offensively, we're going to punt a few more times. So, he'll continually get a chance to impress me.
You got Elroy at the starter at wide receiver. Is that based off of Saturday, or has it kind of been a continual growth? I guess?
It's based off of production. It's based off of production in practice. It's based off production in the game. His number was called and he made plays. He made a play before the half. They're probably the biggest play of the game offensively against when the ball was poorly thrown. He went up and made the play. I want every time our quarterbacks throw the ball to hit them right in the nose or hit them in a spot where they can do something after the catch. But a receiver, when that ball's in the air, we got to go get it. All right, we got to help out our quarterback too. Now there were some balls that weren't thrown great, but touched our receivers' hands that we got to make plays. And Elroy made plays when those balls touched his hands, so he's starting this week. Right now he's starting. He better practice well.
You said you haven't had a chance to sit down. Have you talked to Nick at all since the game?
Yeah, I talked to him after the game. Keep your head up. You got to continue to work. I appreciate how you practiced last week. That's what you got to do. You got to do this week. That's, that's what I expect. I mean, I got benched in college. Nobody came and held my hand and told, coach said this is what it's going to be. I wasn't producing, and I was the starter the year before. You know what I did? I went back to work. When my opportunity came, which was the next day in practice, I was going to be ready. I expect the same thing out of our guys.
You get Xavier back from suspension this week. How do you see him?
Well, we got to see when he comes out there and practices. We're probably going to start him at the flanker, not start, but start at the flanker position behind BC. And BC's a guy that we go 3 receiver sets, could possibly move into the slot receiver. But we got to see where Xavier's at practice. He's been practicing hard. He's been working his tail off on the scout team. He gives us speed. He gives us some big playability. We all think, but we haven't seen a lot of that in football games. So we'll see how he practices this week.
He had Izzy's touchdown run game with him lined up at fullback. Is that something we might see a little more of?
No, he was at tailback. We just, with Prentice down and we're a little short fullback, so we went our heavy personnel. Izzy played the fullback, which he got a carry on 2nd and 1. He was in on the first down play when we ran a toss, and then we ran 2nd 1. We ran an inside zone to him, and then he was in on the goal line plays. He was in on the one that got us to 4th and 1. It was 4th and 1 because Izzy didn't make his block, and the guy. So then we took him out and put Riken in there, and we scored. But it wasn't because of that. It's just jumbo personnel. But just where we are right now. I mean, we're up there in personnel trying to figure out what gives us the best chance to be effective, and probably play more people and more personnel groups than I ever have, because we've had a lot of different packages. You got a package with 8 in a game. You got a package with 14 in a game. You got a package with Izzy at fullback. You got a package with Riken at fullback and Izzy at tailback. So that's just where we are right now, because we've got a lot of new guys playing that don't understand everything. So we're giving them small packages to be able to try to execute.
Is that something that as you go further into the season to be able to effectively prepare for each week?
Yeah, you're going to look at the tape and look at what you think you can do offensively, and then you're going to look at your personnel, and you got to say, okay, these guys got to touch the ball. Okay, Deidre Clark touched it 4 times and got 40 yards. Right, maybe he needs to touch it more. And he dropped a pass, and then we had a couple bubbles that the quarterback didn't throw him to, where I thought they should have thrown it out there to him, trying to get the ball in his hands. We've got some plays for number 4 we've tried to put in his hands. We didn't connect on any of the passes. We handed him a reverse. We handed it to 14 twice. Hawkins, so guys that, it's easy if a guy's playing tailback to get him the ball, but when you've got skilled guys, sometimes you got to come up with some packages to let them touch the football. But you don't want to do, to your point, do so much that you can't execute your base offense. All right, but right now our execution of our base offense is struggling a little bit, so we're trying to find some creative ways to run the ball.
You've got Christian Cologne suited up, but he hasn't played yet. Do you expect him to be able to play this week?
Well, he's got to practice better. He's got to practice better. Just because Christian Cologne was a highly recruited kid doesn't mean he's going to play. Now, to Christian's defense, he missed a lot. He missed basically all of camp, and he just not ready yet. We're going to continue to work him. He might be ready this week. He might be ready in 2 weeks. He may not be ready this year, but he's not on scout team right now. He's over there continuing to work and get better. So we'll see. It might click in a week. It might click in 2 weeks. It might not click. So we got to continue to work him to see, if he can help us this year. All righty. Thank you.
Thanks, sir.
Yeah, I think Coach probably already talked most on it. We got to find a way to be able to throw the football. It's hard to go try to run it 50 times and be successful, but a lot of it is just making the throws and I mean, scheme-wise, I think some things have been there. I mean, it was there during the game Saturday. As far as some of our stuff in the passing game, we just got to hit guys and At some point you got to be able to loosen some guys up, but whatever you got to do to try to win the game is the key. It's not necessarily about yards and who's getting the yards and who's doing what, but you've got to figure out a way to do enough to win the game, and so we'll be prepared for that.
What do you see in the difference between practice and performance in the game? Because Nick completed better than 60% of his passes last year. If he's not playing, somebody's playing better than him. I think they could complete 40% of their passes.
Yeah, I mean, everybody would like to have some of the throws back, but both games that we've played this year, it's been pretty bad. So we've got to go back to work, and the guys have got to keep working and get out of that funk and see what we can do better this week.
Do you see it as the worst that it's been, the more it's getting in their head?
I'm probably sure there's some in their head, but they got to fight through it, and we'll give them a heck of a plan, and we'll go to work at it, and it'll be the best plan that we can have that gives us the best chance in our mind to win the game, and they got to go execute it. So we'll see what happens after this week's practice.
How much does it hinder the rest of the offense just having quarterbacks changing all this?
Well, I think I've said it in here before. You have a job to do as a player, and no matter who it is that's in any of the positions out there, you've got to first do your job. And if you're worried about that stuff, more than likely you're not going to be very effective at your job. So whoever's in the game, we've got to be. It's not like you block 62 protection different whoever's in there at quarterback. It's the same protection, same rules. In the run game, the same thing. And so who's in there shouldn't matter to those guys. That's not what they're paid to do. They're paid to execute plays, and if they've got a problem with that, they won't be very successful no matter who it is.
How did you like the new configuration you had on offensive line with Zach on the left?
Well, we made the move because, and really wanted Nick to play better than he did in the CU game. And Trey played well in the CU game, played hard and played well. So we made that move and really moved Zach over to the left tackle spot. Nick had a really good week of practice last week, got hurt, and Nick had his best week of practice, Calendar had his best week of practice last week than he had in a long time, and then got hurt on Wednesday, I guess. So he was kind of limited. It felt like it was good enough to get some reps in the game. So he played some. He will, especially if he continues to practice like he did last week, he will play in the game. Hopefully we get Paul Thurston back. I really think that we're a group that can be physical at times. I don't know. And this is one thing I'm going to challenge them on. I don't know how physically are we tough enough to do it with just 5 guys for 70 snaps. I don't know yet. So it may be a group that has to play 7 or 8 guys to get what we want, as far as the toughness and physical part throughout the whole course of the game. Because I thought we got winded going fast the other night, and they got to be tough enough to finish it in the second half. Yeah, hope to. We'll see. He has improved a bunch as the course of the last week, and then it'd be interesting to see how he does this week.
Would he automatically be the starter again? Or
No, not automatic. Obviously, you'd like to get him in there in practice and let him see and what he can and can't do. And Paul didn't play bad in the game, so it's not like. It's not like you made a move because of the way he played. I mean, he unfortunately got injured. So when he comes back, and Kobe's played well. So, so both of them will play. And I think the fact that if you get Paul back, you're kind of able to do some things maybe with Kobe, who has played all 3 spots, that can kind of give guys a series or 2 throughout the game and get us a little rotation in there to kind of try to wear on some people a little bit.
It's also been frustrating because you lose Adam right before the season starts.
Right.
And the fullback concept was new for the whole offense last
Right.
year. I think it was even hard for your offensive linemen to adjust to, the backs too. Have you not really had a chance to get it going just because Adam got hurt and you had to rotate some different bodies in there with Nolan and Reich and
Nolan knew what to do already. He played a lot of that last year. Probably the biggest issue's probably been that you're taking reps from Nolan at the tight end position in the line more than can we function with a fullback. I think it's been actually, we've had some success when we've been in our sets with the fullback this season so far. But probably the biggest thing is that because you lose a number of, you lose a player, then now his reps at tight end are cut in half, and the looks that he's got to get ready for are cut in half because he has to get the fullback deal, which Riken was better last week and really came in the game and did some decent things for us in the game. So he improved a lot, and if he can continue to improve, then maybe Nolan's fullback reps are split in half, but we'll just see how that goes. All right.
You put Elzenbast in to kind of mix it up at the Mike position this week, and then you have the performance out of Watson. I mean, do you think that was kind of what you wanted to see out of Josh after what you did with Pat?
Absolutely, and it wasn't more of anything to get more out of Josh. It's Pat earned it, and with that being said, Josh answered the call at the same time. They both played pretty good game, and Josh played the way I expected him to play. But it's the way I've expected him to play for a long time. So, I'm glad he stepped up to that, and we'll see how this week's practice goes.
How well did Patrick play? Because, like you said, he's a bit undersized, but he had 6 tackles.
He played good. It's what we expect out of that position. Like I said, the week before we had nothing out of the Mike linebacker position. This week we had a lot. You start totaling. Josh, I think, he probably had seven or 8 tackles, and Patrick had 6, and between the two of them, that's about the way that Mike linebacker spot should be played, and I was glad that they both did that. They performed pretty good.
You took a more aggressive approach, and of course the thing that you run risk on is giving up big plays. But it seemed like you did it really well last week. Is this the approach this defense really needs to take going forward?
It was for sure the approach we needed last week. I don't know if we learned a lot coaching, if they learned a lot from the first game or what, but we've got to be able to trigger our guys, and we've got to get them going. And if that's, being a little more aggressive play calling, we'll do that. If we're making the plays that we need to make without having to do all that, that would be good too. It's really going to kind of be tempoed by how we're playing in the game, but I would expect us, as fast as we played, I would expect us to be aggressive.
Moving forward with Elzenbast and Watson, how do you figure out playing time with those two guys?
That'll really come down to this week's practice. Elzenbast is on all 4 special teams. So I got to be smart about that too, which our linebackers should be on all the special teams. But with that, we'll find a good mix between the two again, and a lot of it's going to depend on how they practice as to probably who starts or whatnot, and I'm just not ready to call that yet.
How was he about starting? Was he excited, pumped up about it? Did you see any difference in him getting ready for the game?
No, I didn't. That's why he earned it. That's what he does day in and day out, and his preparedness and his approach to football and his love of the game has been the same. It didn't matter if it was all special teams, no defense, or if he was going to be on the sidelines and have to cheer everybody on. His approach is what I want everybody's approach to be, and so he earned it.
He seems to me to be a guy that's had the respect of his peers, guys being a walk-on, working hard in practice, he's becoming a special teams guy. Was it one of those things where they had confidence in him when you named him the starter just because of kind of, I guess, the reputation he'd earned these past few years?
Yeah, you said it all right there. He earned it. So I don't think not one person looked and doubted that at all or questioned it. They were all happy for Pat, but at the same time, you're happy for Josh, you're happy for whoever, but with the amount of work that he puts in and his approach to everything, I think people were excited for him. I really do. And as far as he himself, that's just him. He's pretty excited for every game. Again, doesn't matter what he's doing. So, it was neat. And again, it was neat to see both of them play well.
You had to have a touch of pride watching that defense play in the second half and shut them out, keep things in check, and it seemed like gain more confidence from each thing you did.
And I hope they're gaining confidence. I was hoping, and again, I'd said it way at the beginning, we're pretty young. So it's kind of a trial by error. You got to kind of see how the game's setting up. And I'm hoping that by the way they played, that they understood it's the way they should have played in the first game. It's the way they should play in the next game. And with that being said, some of the success that they had, I'm hoping carries over. And because this is a really good football team. I mean, they're putting about 55 points up a game. I mean, offensively, they're doing some good things, and they got a lot of speed, and you know, it's probably as good a football team as we have seen so far, period.
We've seen some pretty good teams over there, though, haven't we?
Every now and then.
How have you been able to get so much from little undersized linebackers like Max Morgan, like you have Max McDonald coming up? I assume you hope to get the same production, if not more. How do you get that out of those guys?
You do. I think you get a lot out of them when you believe in them, and we really do. I mean, I wouldn't put Pat in there if I didn't believe in him, and absolutely believe in him. But I think something that Max Morgan had set a precedence, that Clyburn had it, still has it. Just Blaster or Patrick has it, and those guys, is just their approach to the game. They love the strategy of the game. They love to know what somebody's doing formationally, what plays are coming. They get into that kind of preparation, and I think it really shows. And then, you know, if you got to have some confidence, some toughness about you, and Patrick has that. You know, Max Morgan had it, Clyburn had it, and with that, I think they get a lot out of themselves. I don't know if it's, you know, as much as anything other than they take so much pride in it that's the way they play.
Does that just maybe allow them to trigger a little faster? Maybe they're not going to be as quick from point A to point B, but they get started a little earlier.
They do.
Because of the way they're seeing things.
They do. I think that really, really helps, and that's what you're hoping for your whole defense. And you kind of had that as kids were getting older. You had it in the Trent Matthews, Kevin Pierre-Louis, you know, those corners that they saw things very fast, and again, because of experience and because of understanding. And I'm just hoping that all the stuff they did last week can keep carrying over to understand that that's what it takes. Because you can say it, and we said it a week ago. Sometimes you got to learn by your mistakes. Me too. You know, and you just hope that with the way they reacted in this last game that they're learning and they're growing.
When you went back and looked, what impressed you the most about Kevin's game? I mean, only 6 tackles, but he had 3 sacks and a forced fumble. What kind of jumped out at you, maybe that he was able to do this week that he wasn't able to do last week because he was making so many tackles?
Well, we blitzed him more, so that would count for the sacks. But I don't know. He's had 2 pretty good weeks. I don't know that there's any more he could have done this last week either. He played in the scheme and did exactly what we asked him, and he plays hard. And you know, if we have a chance to blitz him, he made the most of it. You know, and it's not just him; it's the guys in front of him, you know, taking their angles in their pressures, what they're supposed to be doing. You know, a lot of things opened up for him because of the guys in front of him. And again, if we all keep growing and learning, then we understand that it is a team effort, and everybody's going to have to do it together.
Most of the pressure you put on the quarterback has been by bringing in extra pressure. Is there any way that can help your basic 4-man rush?
I think it did last week a little. We had pressured enough that when we did stay in our coverage, it had softened them up probably enough that our 4-man rush kind of got home a couple. We stunted, but we didn't have to pressure, and I think it helped them a lot. I really think we lost contain 2 or 3 times, which was a little disappointing because we know better, especially on that quarterback last week. And again, we're going to learn from that. But I think it made it easier for them to get a better 4-man pass rush too.
How much, because I know we talked about you being more aggressive, but how much of it was just, you know, like you watch Colorado, he was getting off blocks that maybe he wasn't the week before. corners were doing the same. How much of this really was just, like you stressed, do your job?
Experience and learning from the week before. I really think they took it to heart because I said and they saw it. They were leaning on blocks. They were waiting for somebody else. They were striking. There's a play where Tyree Simmons came up and we had him rolled up, clouded corner, and that tight end tried to block him on a little bubble. He knocked. That guy, 255 pounds. Tyree put him on his back. And stayed active in the play and made the tackle. But those kind of things, I think the week before we were lacking, and they weren't lacking in this game. And it does come with confidence. The better things are going for you, the more aggressive you are.
Marty, do you think there's more understanding on the team about competition when you change 2 starters from the previous week, from week 1 to week 2 on defense? Coach does the same thing on offense, a couple other spots. Do you think that helps send a better message that, we're not just talking competition, we're serious about it?
I hope so.
Do you think you're starting to see some of that maybe?
I do, because I think what it does is steps you up at practice too. It's not just a game. It's, do you want a chance to be the starter? Do you want a chance to play the majority of the snaps? Then you've got to earn it during the week. And I do think that helped them in the week of practice too. And so much of it is just we're growing and we're learning. And I think if you follow through on the things you say you're going to follow through on, they understand it. It's not just words and it's not just a bunch of empty talk, and then you have to be man enough to take it. You better understand.
RJ got a play or two this past week. How much closer is he to making a more active role? And then you saw Robert play and then Hicks. How close are they to actually being able to help you defensively, not just on special teams?
Getting closer every week. Evan's been playing really hard, but I think there's chances for me to rest him in some situations. And we got RJ in, and I'm hoping maybe there's a few more plays for RJ this week. Hicks is going to have to, and whether we start him on some special teams, and Robert's got to come in and play. Robert's practicing extremely hard. I'll just say I think Jamal grew up a ton in the last week in the way he prepared and understood what the expectation level was during the week in order for you to get a chance to be in there on Saturday. So I would anticipate with the continued learning and growth that they'll keep getting a few more chances.
Last one, how much do you balance with those true freshmen now? Obviously, they can't redshirt now. You played them. You don't want to waste it and only have them play 5 plays the rest of the season. How do you kind of balance making sure you get them the experience, but if they're not still the best guy?
That's a hard question because, we're still feeding our families based on wins and losses, and so we're going to put the best guys out there. They're going to give us a chance to win. They have all the athletic ability that they need to be able to compete and have a chance to play on Saturdays. They need to understand the amount of preparation that goes into it to give you that chance. And with that being said, if it ends up being 30 plays this year or 12 plays this year, if their time is called and that situation and that role comes, they better take advantage of it, because it's hard anymore to say, I don't want to burn your freshman year, or we're going to burn it, or you have to answer the bell when you're called on.